guys, we are back with another song by Eminem. And which one are we doing today?
Today we are doing the last song off of Relapse, the deluxe version, and it is Careful What You Wish For. Do you know it?
I don't know. I feel like that's a line in a lot of songs, and like other songs are running through my head right now, I think.
Yeah, I'm blanking right now on the name. There's a popular song off Recovery where there's a woman who says, "Be careful what you wish
Yeah,
for."
that popped up in my head.
Yeah, that's not this song though. That's off his
Okay.
next album.
I have no idea.
He sings the hook on this. So we'll see. I don't know if I don't really have a gauge of whether you would know this or not. Typically, I'm like, oh, I remember I played this for you, or oh, this was popular. This wasn't like a popular radio song. It's an album cut. So
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I definitely know the other one.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
So I will say when we finished the standard version of the album Relapse, there was a little confusion on my part about which song was the first song on the refill, which is the extended, right?
Yeah.
So if you go to Spotify right now, there's three versions of Relapse, right? There's the standard version, which is I think like 19 or 20 tracks, something like that, right? Then there's the deluxe version, which features My Darling and Careful What You Wish For at the end, right? So there's just two extra songs. But then there is Relapse Refill, which is all the songs we just did for like the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then the weird thing about it is they take Careful What You Wish For and My Darling, right? On refill, even though they're the last two tracks in the deluxe version, they put those at the end of the album. And there's kind of a reason for it. If you remember My Darling we did yesterday, it's kind of like, the evil part of Slim Shady,
Yeah.
taking over. So this is kind of that, and then this is Be Careful What You Wish For. They're kind of thematic of, what he's trying to say.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I figured I'd just throw that in there.
Interesting. And wow, I'm surprised that we're like done with this album. I thought it was going to take a million years. It's
It
been like a million years.
it might be the longest one with the deluxe version.
Yeah.
Actually, if you look at Music to Be Murdered By, which is his most recent releases, it's two albums. It's part A and side B, so.
Interesting. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow us on all social media channels. Links in the description below. And our username's right here. And I'm wearing my glasses today.
They look good.
Thank you. I'm blind.
All right, Careful What You Wish For.
Breaking news, Detroit rapper Eminem cancels his sold-out European tour to check himself into rehab after admitting an addiction to sleep medication. We'll have more on this story as it develops.
Shady Records recording artist Obi Trice has apparently survived a gunshot to the head in what appears to be a random drive-by shooting, while Eminem is rumored to be
The very latest information.
on and off again relationship with
Just in, a tour bus involving Eminem's aunt.
updating a story we brought you earlier about gunfire at an After Hours club. We've learned that the rapper Proof has been fatally shot.
Shady Aftermath recording artist.
Longtime best friend of Eminem and a member of the rap group D12.
Well, back in the news again today.
Is it a sabbatical or the end? The rumors and speculation continue to swirl around Eminem. He insists he's just taking a break, but doubters believe he's retiring, leaving us all to ask, will the real Slim Shady please stand up?
So this is it. This is what I wish for. It just isn't how I envisioned it. Fame to the point of imprisonment. I just thought the shit'd be different, but something changed the minute that I got a whiff of it. I started to inhale it, smell it, started sniffing it, and it became my cocaine. I just couldn't quit. I just wanted a little bit. Then it turned me to a monster. I became a hypocrite. Concert after concert, I was raking in the dough, rolling in green. Had the game hemmed up like a sewing machine, but I was losing my freedom. There was nowhere for me to not go and be seen and just go and be me, and there was no in between. You either loved it or hated. Every CD, critics gave it a 3. Then 3 years later, they go back and re-rate it and call the Slim Shady LP the greatest. The Marshall Mathers was a classic. The Eminem show was fantastic, but Encore just didn't have the caliber to match it. I guess enough time just ain't passed yet. A couple more years, that shit'll be illmatic. And 8 years later, I'm still at it. Divorced, remarried, a felon, a father, sleeping pill addict, and this is real talk. I feel like the Incredible Hulk. My back has been broke and I can still walk.
So, like, what sleeping pill is this that they speak of?
So,
Because I thought he just did like Vicodin and perks and things like that.
So I believe in the most recent song he talked about NyQuil. But
Oh,
remember in Deja Vu, you know the Deja Vu?
yeah.
He
What's
says
I
he said
forgot.
I seem to
Valium.
gravitate to the bottle of NyQuil,
Oh,
and
right.
then I gradually graduate to a harder prescription drug called Valium. Like, yeah, that's great. And then later in the song he says he talks about hiding his hydrocodone and
Yeah.
Ambien CR in his porn tapes. So yeah.
All right.
Do you recognize this or no?
No.
So I really like this. These all are like real news stories. Do you know what
Yeah,
I
it's
mean?
very sad. That must be hard for him to listen
I
to.
know it's like wild, and like they're talking about different controversies and shit going on.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's only a 3 minute and 49 second song that took up like a whole minute. Just that whole little
Oh, wow.
intro.
It's very short.
Yeah, it is. So everything I'm about to read is different news transcripts,
Yes.
audio.
Headlines or portions of
Yeah, like television news,
news.
radio
Yeah.
news. Yeah. So it says breaking news: Detroit rapper Eminem cancels his sold-out European tour to check himself into rehab after admitting an addiction to sleeping medication. We'll have more on this story as it develops. Next one. Shady Records recording artist Obi Trice has apparently survived a gunshot to the head in what appears to be a random drive-by shooting. Meanwhile, Eminem is rumored to be I wonder what the rumored to be was. But yeah, we know Obi Trice, you know, he was on We All Die One Day, the song we did a few months ago,
Hmm.
signed to Eminem. So I didn't realize that it was a random drive-by shooting. I do
Yeah,
remember.
that's
I wonder
interesting.
if it was random or not.
Mm.
It was.
Allegedly random.
Yes. So, okay, first news story about Eminem rehab, drug abuse
Yes.
rehab. Second is Obi Trice, his friend and label mate and artist that he signed, shot in the head. Next little news clip, on and off again relationship with, so
Kim.
Kim.
Mhm.
So then there's that. So that's three right things. This just in, a tour bus involving Eminem's, and then it cuts off. So I forget. I don't remember if there was an accident and like somebody got hurt on the tour bus. Let's see. I have the lyrics pulled up on my phone as we always do because we don't trust them. Um, so I want to see if there's an annotation on Genius about that. Okay. On July 13th, 2005, Eminem's tour bus crashed, putting a motorcyclist in serious condition while injuring fellow DJ Alchemist and rapper Stat Quo.
Oh, wow.
So his tour bus crashed into a motorcycle, hurt him, and two of Eminem's label mates were hurt. So yeah, it's pretty serious too. Next news story. Updating a story we brought you earlier about gunfire at an after hours club. We've learned that the rapper Proof has been fatally shot. So we obviously know his best friend, D12 band member, shot and killed at a club.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is. Then next news segment, Shady Aftermath recording artist. Next, longtime best friend of Eminem and member of the rap group D12. Next, D12 back in the news again today. Is it a sabbatical or the end? So, that's what people were wondering.
Yeah, like, will he come back or not?
And so this was his first work, after all that speculation, obviously, which is why it's on this song. The rumors and speculation continue to swirl around Eminem. He insists he's just taking a break, but now it's believed he's retiring, leaving us all to ask, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? So it's so corny when news people
Yeah,
do
that
that.
was like really bad.
So we
But
got,
it was cool to throw in the song.
yeah, we got a little bit more.
Oh, right. Okay.
So obviously, yeah, that's a play on Real Slim Shady,
Oh,
the
yeah. I mean,
song.
that's the lyrics song.
Yes. Okay, so Eminem comes in. I think it's perfect how they took the all those new segments and put them in before the song, especially because what he's talking about. And then remember, we're coming. It sucks because we did this a day later, but we're coming right off My Darling, where
Yeah.
he's talking about they're like very similar. You know what I mean? The negative side effects and fame and everything. So he comes in, he says, "So this is it. this is what I wished for, just isn't how I envisioned it. Fame to the point of imprisonment. I just thought the shit would be different, but something changed the minute that I got a whiff of it. I started to inhale it, smell it, started sniffing it, and it became my cocaine. I just couldn't quit. So it's pretty self-explanatory here. You know what
Yeah,
I
he's likening like being famous to
mean?
doing
Yeah, an
drugs.
addiction. So
Yeah.
he's saying this is what he wished for, and that's why the
You just
song.
didn't think it would be like this.
Exactly.
Like you thought
It's
it'd be more perfect.
yeah, it would make him happy. He wouldn't have as many problems. I mean, I think
Yeah.
everybody thinks that. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but then it's tough when you can't even be alone.
Yeah. So yeah, fame to the point of imprisonment. So it's a common thread in Eminem's. I mean, you hear that from a lot of famous people in general. You know what I mean? Super famous. They're like imprisoned by their own fame, which is ironic because
Yeah, like
the world opens up to you, yet you're limited in some aspects.
yeah,
So yeah, he says that he thought things would be different, but something changed the minute that he got a whiff of it. So once he got a little bit of fame, which is all he wanted to begin with, a little bit, he's saying, I started to inhale it, smell it, started sniffing it, became like cocaine. So he got addicted to the fame. So like he enjoyed it. You know what I mean? He just wanted a little bit of recognition to be able to support his family rapping, but then he became, hooked on it. So, and he says here, I just couldn't quit. I just wanted a little bit. Then it turned me to a monster. I became a hypocrite. So he's saying, oh, I just want enough to feed my family and support them. And like, no,
yeah,
he's turning into a diva effectively. Concert after concert, I was raking in the dough, rolling in green, had the game hemmed up like a sewing machine. I like that bar.
yeah, it's a good one.
So yeah, obviously talking about his fucking superstardom, his fame, all the money he made off of it, and then had the game hemmed up, meaning he was killing it. He had it on
Yeah,
lock. It was
for
his.
sure.
Yes, like a sewing machine. Then he says, but I was losing my freedom. There was nowhere for me to not go and be seen and just go and be me, and there was no in between. You either loved it or hate it. So yeah, again, same theme that we've heard, from the previous lines. He lost his freedom, ironically, and there was nowhere for him to go to not be seen. So everywhere he goes, people are looking, and then he ultimately feels like he couldn't be himself because he's always being watched. So I like what he does here. So he said, and there was no in between, and then you either loved it or hated it. He was so known that you either
Yeah,
loved him or hated him. It's not, there's no way you didn't know him. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, of
it
course.
was one or the other. So then he says, every CD, critics gave it a 3. Then 3 years later, they'd go back and re-rate it and call the Slim Shady LP the greatest.
Mhm.
The Marshall Mathers was a classic. The Eminem show was fantastic, but Encore just didn't have the caliber to match it. And then he continues, I guess enough time just ain't passed yet. A couple
Maybe.
more years, that shit'll be Illmatic. I fucking love that line. Do you know what Illmatic is?
I just know it means like
Ill.
awesome, really cool.
So Illmatic is the name of Nas's debut album. It's
Is that like made up?
what do you mean?
Like the name, like the word?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
make it up?
Oh, like was he the first one to say that? I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, maybe it was a name like in Queens, like a phrase in Queens at the time that was being used, but in terms of popular culture, definitely Nas's
Yeah,
album.
interesting.
So yeah, it came out in the early 90s and it's considered like a classic.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got like amazing fucking songs on it. We should definitely do some of them at some point. But it was his freshman debut album. He was young. It's always mentioned up there with like the greatest rap albums of all time, right?
Really?
Yes. So, like Eminem is saying, so when he first put out an album, the critics are like, "Oh, it's just like a 3." And I don't know if he means 3 out of 5, 3 out of a 10. It doesn't really
I like
matter.
3 out of 5.
Whatever it is, they were just like, "Oh, this is okay," right?
Yeah.
But he says years later they go back and re-rate it, like, oh, we were wrong at that time. So he's saying, oh, so now everybody says the Slim Shady LP is the greatest. Everybody says the Marshall Mathers was a classic. The Eminem show is fantastic, but Encore, not so much. And so he says, I guess enough time just haven't passed yet. A couple more years, that shit'll be Illmatic. Meaning like,
Oh, so
oh,
it's a double entendre.
yes.
Okay.
So yes. So like literally like, oh, there hasn't been enough years in between. They're going to do what they did with my previous albums, and they're going to be like, oh, this is the greatest album ever made. It's Illmatic. So yes, it's going to be as good as Illmatic, you know what I mean? And then it's going to be Illmatic, you know what I mean? Like that. And then he continues, and 8 years later, I'm still at it. Divorced, remarried, a felon, a father, sleeping pill addict. And this is real talk. I feel like the Incredible Hulk. My back has been broke and I can still walk.
Cool.
So yeah, the he's saying 8 years later he's still at it. And then he pretty much is discussing all the things that were kind of alluded to in the news stories at the beginning of the song. You
Okay.
know, divorced, remarried, felon, which we know about from the Eminem show, father, sleeping pill addict. And then he feels like the Incredible Hulk because
Yeah.
he went through all this bullshit, all this hard stuff,
And
and
he's still okay.
he survived and he can walk, as he said. All right. So now we get to the hook.
Been broke and I can still walk. So be careful what you wish for, cause you just might get it. And if you get it, then you just might not know what to do with it, cause it might just come back on you tenfold. I said be careful what you wish for, cause you just might get it. And if you get it, then you just might not know what to do with it, cause it might just come back on you tenfold. I got a letter from a fan that said he's been praying for me every day, and for some reason it's been weighing on my mind heavy, cause I don't read every letter I get, but something told me to go ahead and open it. But why would someone pray for you when they don't know you? You didn't pray for me when I was local, and as I lay these vocals, I think of all the shit I had to go through just to get to where I'm at. I've already told you at least 1,000 times in these rhymes, I appreciate the prayer, but I've already got God on my side, and it's been one hell of a ride, hasn't it? Just watching it from the opposite standpoint, man, boy, it's got to look nuts, and that's the only word I can think of right now on how to describe this shit. It's just like a vibe you get, go ahead and vibe to it, just watch what you wish for, cause I got the shit. So be careful what you wish for, cause you just might get it. And if you get it, then you just might not know what to do with it, cause it might just come back on you tenfold. I said be careful what you wish for, cause you just might get it. And if you get it, then you just might not know what to do with it, cause it might just come back on you tenfold.
I recognize the chorus.
Oh, really? That's so funny.
I don't recognize a single thing else though. That happened with the other song. I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's
I've only
interesting.
ever heard them like once.
Yeah, because it's weird. Well, so we're obviously doing these videos and we're putting them on the internet. So I have a general idea of what Eminem songs like you know and like listen to before you met me. But like these other ones, I know like I've played them around you and I don't know, if you're listening, you know what I mean? Like,
Close my ears.
so it's weird. Well, I mean, I do that. I'm worse.
I've shown him, I don't know if you guys watch the rock reactions that we do, but like a lot of the songs that I've shown him, I have like deliberately played in the car with him before we started doing our reaction videos. I'm like, oh, like I love this song, and then you're in the car with me, and you don't even remember a single fucking word.
Yeah, so neither of us are great at listening to the other's music, but I will say you're better than I am in general.
Yes,
I'm very bad.
yes, I am.
Okay. So the chorus, which you say you recognize, which is funny. So it says, so be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. And if you get it, then you just might not know what to do with it, because it might just come back on you tenfold.
And he like auto tunes this, right?
Kind of,
It's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, it is. I remember the first time I heard the hook, I was like, oh, I don't like it. I don't like him singing it. I don't like the way it sounds. But like now I love it. Like I really like it.
Yeah, it's
You
not
know.
bad.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm just noticing it's auto tunes. And this was like around the time when auto tune was like just becoming popular, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
2009,
kind of
so yeah, it's very funny.
Or no, it was popular. No, T-Pain started it. T-Pain came out when I was in like middle school, right?
Yeah, this is still auto-tune era.
Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like
but it slowly starts to get like people start shitting on T-Pain
so like
and like all the people who do auto tune and stuff.
yeah, I'm thinking so 808s and Heartbreaks Kanye came out when I was in college. I think it was my first year in college. So it's like 2007, I would say. And that's a whole auto-tuned album. So this is like a year or two after. So It's right in that,
Yeah.
time frame. So yeah, the chorus is self-explanatory. Be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. It's an interesting thought. It's like a cliche, but it's true. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then if you get it, you might not know what to do with it, and it might come back on you tenfold. So yes, it just be careful because you may think you want something but not fully comprehend what
Of course.
it entails. So I really like this verse too. It's interesting. So he says, I got a letter from a fan that said he's been praying for me every day, and for some reason it's been weighing on my mind heavy because I don't read every letter I get, but something told me to go ahead and open it. But why would someone pray for you when they don't know you? You didn't pray for me when I was local. And as I lay these vocals, I think of all the shit I had to go through. So before I go to the next, page, it is interesting. So when I heard the line, "You didn't pray for me when I was local," first time I heard it, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of a weird response to say to somebody that said they were praying for you."
Yeah.
But what he's saying is, okay, so he says he got this letter from the fan, he's praying for him, and he's like, he doesn't always open his fan mail, but for whatever
Yeah,
reason,
like
he had that.
something tells him to open it.
Yeah, he was like, oh, let me check out what this one says. And they said they were praying for me. And then he's thinking to himself, he's like, that's weird. He's like, he doesn't even know me, and he's praying for me. And then his
Well,
next
'cause he
thought is,
was in rehab, right? Like, because he was doing drugs and stuff like that.
yeah, and he canceled the tour and stuff.
Yeah.
But then he's like, you didn't pray for me when I was local,
Well,
not
he didn't
meaning,
know you.
well, no. So that's how I always interpreted it. Not like, why weren't, like, you weren't there for me then, so fuck you now. Meaning, like, so you didn't know me then, so you weren't praying for me, but you don't know me now, and I'm just famous, and you're praying for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like a weird.
But like he couldn't have known him when he was nobody.
It's true, but even if he was nobody, like, would he have been praying for him then? Do you know what I mean? Like, if he was aware of him, but he wasn't famous. Do you know what I'm saying?
Maybe. You
Like,
never know. There are some people who just do that.
so, like, that's the weird thing in his head. It's like, that's so strange because I have this fame. I have people that I don't know praying for me. You know what I mean? It is a weird thing to think about. But anyway, he says, as I lay these vocals, I think of all the shit I had to go through. um, Jesus. Then he says, just to get to where I'm at. I've already told you at least 1,000 times in these rhymes. I appreciate the prayer, but I've already got God on my side. And it's been one hell of a ride, hasn't it? Just watching it from an opposite standpoint, man, boys got to look nuts. Boy, it's got to look nuts. And that's the only word I can think of right now on how to describe this shit. This is like a vibe you get. Go ahead and bob to it. Just watch what you wish for, because I got the shit. So yeah, he finishes off by saying, I have God on my side, so I appreciate you praying for me, but I have my own relationship with God, so
Yeah.
don't worry about that. And then he just reflecting on, like he says, the one hell of a ride. And he says, just watching it from the fans' perspective, on the outside looking in, it has to look crazy. You know what I mean? Because they don't know everything, but they do see, they hear the news clips, they see, everything, the antics, whatever it is. And he says, that's the only word I can think of right now on how to describe it. So when he says that line, it almost sounds like he's like almost like freestyling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is just thoughts coming out of his head. It wasn't like necessarily pre-written. He's like, this is when I'm reflecting on this in my mind, the only thing I could think of is, oh, this is just nuts, everything that I've been through.
Yeah.
And then he says, this is like a vibe you get, go ahead and bop to it, which alluding to the music, which is actually really fucking good in this song. I like it a
Yeah,
lot.
it's good.
And
Definitely
then
good.
and then he ends with the warning, just watch what you wish for, because I got the shit.
Yeah.
And then that is it. It goes back to the chorus again, which we already went through.
Yeah.
All right. So careful what you wish for.
So it's good. It's really interesting how he opens up with the news stories and the headlines, and you get like a glimpse of what was going on in between because the song's pretty old. I don't really remember. And you see a bit into his life, you see what he's going through, and the beat's pretty good. It's good. It's not my favorite, but it's good.
Yeah, no, I really like this song a lot. It's like I said, so this and My Darling, which we did yesterday, are paired together. on no matter which version of the album you get, meaning the deluxe or the refill expanded edition. So they're paired as the last two songs, which, thematically you're following the theme of, the whole album. It's interesting, it's, all the psychopathic serial killer shit, the horrorcore rap. And then it's a little more introspective. So my darling's like, more creative. And it's like, he's giving voice to the dark side of his consciousness and the evil. And then this is like more like just relaying like introspectively. It's a little more, it's weird, it's kind of almost upbeat, not
Yeah.
really, do you know what I mean? The content's not, but the like musically,
Good beat.
yeah, it's not as hard and heavy as my darling, you know what I mean?
And it's not like depressive.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I love this song. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's
And
good.
I think it's a great way to fucking end the album for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So then we have our album review tomorrow.
Yeah. There's so much to go through because it's like 2 discs.
Right.
Yeah. We're gonna have to figure out how to do. I guess I'll pull up the lyrics and then we'll just give you little reminders of what was in what song.
We'll be able to do it. We'll be fine.
All right.
Yes. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yes. See you. Bye.